Hey guys, what's going on? Thomp here with another video in the D2 Test Bench series. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the channel, what I do is challenge the community to come up with new builds for me to try out using Hero Editor to build characters and test them to maximum efficiency. This week's challenge was brought to us from a member of the Diablo 2 Facebook community. So if you're not a member of that community already, go ahead and get in there. There's some really cool people in there that like sharing their finds and just communicating with other Diablo 2 players that are still playing this game 20 years later. So our challenge this week was to build a double dragon melee sorceress. And the difference between this build and most melee sorceresses is typically the meta would be to use 2 of the dream rune words that give you the Holy Shock aura to combat fire immunes. In this case, we tried to work around it and come up with a cool build, and I hope you like it. So before you go anywhere, make sure you like and subscribe, and also check me out on Twitch. I stream 3 nights a week typically, and I will stream all of my theory crafting there and also play some other games. So make sure you follow the channel, stop in and say hi, and comment down below to leave me a suggestion for my next video. Alright guys, so for this week with the double dragon melee sorceress, what we were really trying to do was overcome the meta of using the dual dreams. Dual Dream will give you the Holy Shock aura, and that will help combat fire immunes that can't be broken by your Mercenary's Conviction aura. So we were trying to avoid that for the fun of the build, and what it ended up turning out to be was really just a nerf on the overall build, but we did find a way to make it work. We did try using a Passion in the weapon slot to give us Fanaticism, and also the Hand of Justice to give us additional levels on our Holy Fire aura, but the main drawbacks of those 2 items were, with the Passion, we were getting Zeal locked and dying that way, and it wasn't, we couldn't really find a way to get around being killed, honestly, in the middle of a Zeal. And with the Hand of Justice, the damage that you gained from the extra levels of Holy Fire wasn't making a dent really in the monsters, so that didn't really seem worth it either. So what we decided to do was to go with the Beast Berserker Axe in the weapon slot. Just an incredible weapon overall. Fanaticism aura, increased IAS, huge enhanced damage, crushing blow, open wounds, werebear. It's just a great overall weapon for a non-typical melee class to try a melee build. Werebear just gives you an insane amount of life and makes you super tanky, and the rest of our build is kind of centered around that because our enchant skill is going to add so much damage to our weapon that we're going to be able to basically crush anything. It's really just staying alive long enough to get from pack to pack and killing everything. Obviously part of the build was using the double dragons in our chest and shield slot. This item, while fairly cool in the sense that it gives you Holy Fire aura, isn't very strong outside of that. So trying to keep ourselves alive definitely became an issue. I tried using that increased maximum mana to our advantage using Energy Shield instead of life, but it doesn't really make any sense to do that when you're going to be running Werebear anyways and you're getting that massive life boost. So I would rather ignore the extra 10% maximum mana and carry on with the build in a more typical sense. Now, in the theme of trying to stay alive, we decided to go with a double bird COA in our helmet slot. Now, COA is just a great item all around. Faster hit recovery, 30 all resistances, and then with 2 birds in it, you get 31% damage reduced. That is literally almost a third. It adds so much tankiness to the build. The damage reduction is just incredible. You don't need any more damage, like I said. This is the best way to go. In the theme of staying alive, Drax Grasp Vambrace Gloves, 10 life stolen per hit with open wounds and life tap. We're going to be pulling so much life off of these guys. As you'll see when we get the run going, we hardly even notice a dent in our health orb. They're just fantastic gloves. There's a reason smiters absolutely have to use them. It's just a great set of gloves that I can't say anything bad about. In the amulet slot, probably my favorite melee amulet out there, the High Lord's Wrath. 1 to all skills, benefits your battle orders, 20 IAS, huge. Deadly Strike based on character level. It's just a great item. There are very few builds that I see other items being better for in the amulet slot, but they do exist, and we'll be exploring some of those in the near future. In our ring slot, we have 2 Ravenfrosts. Attack rating was becoming a problem for us. We weren't hitting all the time. Having the cold absorb is always nice too. Dexterity also helps. Cannot be frozen is gigantic. I think every character in the game should have cannot be frozen on it somewhere in their build. It's just such a valuable utility to have. Then in our belt slot, we have Verdungos, faster hit recovery, 40 vitality, replenish life, and another 15% damage reduction. So for those of you guys keeping track at home, that's 46 damage reduction. So we're pulling so much damage off of these monsters before it's even applied to us, and then being healed with life tap and all the replenished life that we have, it's hard to deal any damage to us. We kind of just keep rolling. This character ends up being a tank in that way. In the boot slot, Gore Riders, again, kind of a cure-all as far as melee class boots go. Faster run walk, crushing blow, deadly strike, open wounds. Can't say enough good things about those boots. And our switch, as always, is a CTA and a spirit for maximum BO. We have a torch and annulus. These are all fire lifers. And 20 life, 5 all resist charms. Now our mercenary, on the other hand, kind of just going max damage. Fort AP. Andy's with a Ral and the helm just to keep him alive. And then obviously the Infinity. Again, as I do with all of these things, I mess around with other builds. When I was trying the Passion, for example, I ran with a Act 1 Mercenary with a Faith to get that Fanaticism aura. So we are quite literally like a low-level Zeal Paladin. Wasn't worth it. Merc kept dying, couldn't break immunes, wasn't dealing enough damage. Only way to go. It kind of goes to say with Elemental class builds that you're going to need an Infinity in your Mercenary's weapon slot in order to be able to keep moving. Moving on, looking at our stats, again, just enough strength to wear our gear, just enough dexterity to wear our gear. Everything else went into vitality. We are short on some resistances here, but we have so much damage reduction that it doesn't matter. Anything more than that would quite honestly be overkill, and we just kind of move along anyways. Going into our skills, starting the fire skills, we maxed out Enchant, Fire Mastery, and then also Warmth, because that is actually a synergy with Enchant. So you're going to find that you have a lot of leftover skills in this build, and it's one of the nice things that you have going for you. The problem is that when you're in Werebear, you can't cast anything. You can literally only attack. So if you want to utilize any other skill, you have to come out of Werebear form and then start using spells. It's really not worth it. I kind of just like to stay in that one form and just truck through whatever I can. For lightning spells, I did take one to teleport just in case if you were, say, running Mephisto or another, magic find area, you could teleport all the way there and then switch into Werebear and kill it just to expedite the run. But we're not going to do that really for Diablo today. I did put a few points into Thunderstorm just so we have some passive lightning damage, because there are going to be immunes that we can't break. But as you'll see once we start going, it doesn't really matter because we're doing enough physical damage that we can still kill those fire immunes in a reasonable amount of time. And quite honestly, nothing can kill us. This only becomes a problem when you go into Players 7 and Players 8. It gets a little dicey, but typically if you're in Player 7, Players 8, you already know what you're doing, and you'll know where to avoid those fire immunes and find better areas to magic find for this character in the first place. And it's also not exactly the type of character that I would necessarily recommend magic finding with, because the build doesn't really leave any room for it, and it would be a slower class to kill massive amounts of monsters with. Going into cold spells, all we really did here was drop a bunch of points into frozen armor to get ourselves some extra defense. And that's really it. So from here, we'll jump right into a Diablo run. So on my Switch, I've got Battle Command, Battle Orders, Enchant. Make sure you enchant your Merc to get him that damage. The armor, Thunderstorm, And now we transform. So just looking right off the bat, 16k top end damage with just attack. That's all you need. You don't need any more damage than that. We're basically one-hitting everything we come across. And to look at our mercenary, he's also dealing 8.3k top end damage with our enchant. He's not going to die, and we're just going to walk over everything here. So let's get right into the run. You do get a little bit of a run walk bonus with Werebear on, which is nice. So that does kind of move things along quite a bit. We don't really have the power to move our mercenary around much, but as you'll see, we're kind of one-shotting everything. Now, later on in the run, when we get to the inside of Diablo's Sanctuary, Decrepify can be a problem, but quite honestly, you're going to survive either way. It really will just slow you down for a second, and then you keep on rolling. But if you look, we've got 4.3k health, and it's not budging at all. We're just walking through this. Now, if you wanted to go for more damage for some reason, if this isn't killing quick enough for you, you could, instead of the 2 burrs in the COA, put fire facets. You would get an extra 10% damage to your fire, but like I said, we're killing fast enough for my liking as is, and the survivability of using the Burr COA is so nice. I did also take an Act 2 Nightmare Mercenary. It's kind of becoming a theme here that I like that mercenary because of the added utility of having the Holy Freeze aura. You could take the Combat Mercenary in Act 2 and get Might for extra damage, but at this point I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record when I say you don't need that extra damage. You're better off slowing everything else. And see, that was right there. We had the Decrepify aura on us. We've got it again now. And that becomes a little bit of an issue because we just start attacking really slowly. But otherwise, I mean, you tell me when you see the health orb dip below like 90%. Here we have a Venom Lord. We still kill it fairly quickly, even though it's immune. I will try to avoid those if I can. We could move faster here. I'm going to kind of run past some of these smaller mobs just to get closer to the end here. And the good thing about this build is mana doesn't really mean anything. We are taking a lot of damage though. Really need a life tap proc here. Ooh. Ah, we're getting life tapped. So we died. After I sat here and told you how tanky and ridiculously strong this character was, we got life tapped. And I have run Chaos another 3 or 4 times, and that's kind of the end result. If you get life tapped, you are dead. It doesn't matter how much life you have or your resistances, because you're dealing so much damage that it's just being reflected back on you. And you can basically one-shot yourself. If not one-shot, 2 or 3. And there's no getting around it for running the Chaos Sanctuary, because you're going to have to fight Lord Desace. And he can cast it. If he does, you have to either stand there and wait it out, or try to fight through it with potions. This build is busted, I guess. Or maybe for just Chaos Sanctuary? It doesn't quite work. But I can't imagine why you would want to run it outside of clearing mass mobs. It might be pretty good for PvP. But again, we'll have to save that for some other video creators in the community, because I'm running on single player here and I'm quite honestly terrible at PvP. So I'm not quite sure what to do here, because it's such a hard stop for the character to just be completely owning everything and then get to one monster type that can basically kill you instantly. And I think that's one of the reasons that we don't see these melee sorceresses used too often for PvM rather, excuse me. But the one thing I bet it could do really well is Ubers. Alright, so let's give Ubers a shot. I really want to find a way to make this build be useful because it is a lot of fun to play, and I want to see it succeed. So we are going to make this happen come hell or high water. So let's get our buffs up real quick. And we'll go into Werebear, and let's kill these motherfuckers. No! It's not going very well for us. Well, we are killing Diablo. We did need to use a couple of potions. Our mercenary is being a huge help here, and we're kind of just tank and spank. There isn't really a whole lot to it. So it looks like Diablo will fall fairly easily. We'll go back to town, grab some potions, and jump in on the next one. It was nice to be able to isolate one, and I wanted to take advantage of that and just take him down right away. We're not losing any health. We were early on for some reason, and I'm not quite sure what changed midway through the fight other than that we procced life tap. So with that, Diablo is down. Run back, grab some potions because Mephisto is going to be a tad bit more difficult, and we're going to need to figure out a way to separate the last two prime evils. Let's see if we can get lucky here with how they spawn in. It's not looking very promising. Alright. Oh. Mephisto is trapped a bit. Nope. That's not the ticket. So we need to find a way to pull Mephisto... Or, I'm sorry. We need to find a way to pull Bale away from Mephisto and give him no reason to be tellying on top of us. Let's see if we can get Bale to teleport to us. Alright, that was fairly easy. Now that we have Bale isolated, we just gotta come up with a way to get Mephisto down without dying to that poison instantly. Now he is still attacking us through the wall, but he can't send the poison over here, which is really what was killing us. So worst case scenario, we may have to go back to town and come up with an idea on how to get rid of his poison damage. We do only have 50 poison resistance, so adding resistances there may be a viable method, but it is nice that we are able to separate Bale, and his mana drain doesn't mean anything to us because we don't need mana. Again, our health is staying high. It's really all about isolating these guys and taking them down individually. We do luckily have 85 light resistances and some cold absorb for when we go to fight Mephisto. It's really just going to be offsetting all of that poison damage that he lays down. Suddenly we're taking bunches of damage. I really just want to get Bale killed before... I think we got him. And a couple more hits. Last sliver of health is just taking a lifetime. There we go. Alright, let's grab all these potions up and jump in on Mephisto and kind of just watch to see what happens here. Well, our mercenary dies instantaneously, which is never a good thing. Kind of back away here. Nope. Well, I think that unfortunately closes the book on our Double Dragon Melee Sorceress. Try as we might, sometimes these builds just don't work out, and I think this is one of those cases where the build just didn't work. It's unfortunate to say that it isn't really viable, but we tried our best and tried to come up with something cool. For our next video, we're going to build something that I absolutely will know is super overpowered and also a lot of fun in advance. Alright guys, so unfortunately we have our first build busted. Do not try to make this character. It does not work for anything other than being a little fun to kill mobs that you have no reason to want to kill. We could have made a number of gear switches in town to make Uber Mephisto more manageable. It still would have been difficult. Overall, not worth it. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I can't think of a good reason to make it. The gear is expensive. It can't kill Ubers. It can't clear chaos. I give up. So unfortunately, that is the end of this week's video. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me what to make next. I do have a video planned for next week already, and what I can tell you is we're going to be kicking it very old school. Like, very old school. So make sure you hop on the stream at Thomp on Twitch and come help me theorycraft the build. Quite honestly, it's going to be more of a sneak peek this week because I already know what I'm building and how exactly I am going to do it, as I have done it probably 10 times before, but it's been about 15 years since I did it. And that's going to kind of be the hint that I give you guys for next week's video. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.